Hey, what's up, Kaijus? It's your boy Kaiju Kong, aka 2K. Alright, so today's another Q&A session with the brothers around the world. And today's question comes from a dude named Felipe. Felipe, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you very much for today's question. And he asked me, should a Sigma male be fit, physically fit? The short answer is yes. I mean, what else can I say? So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me, my friends. Till next time, stay strong and take care. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna get into the reasons why a Sigma male should be fit. And let me start off with this. Not only Sigma males, but all people around the world, male and female, have the obligation to themselves to be physically fit, as long as you want to pursue the best version of yourself. You do it intellectually, you do it spiritually, you do it emotionally, financially, and also physically. Now, unless you are handicapped, unless you have an illness, unless you have an excuse or a reason as to why you cannot work out, you cannot walk, you cannot eat healthy, it's an imperative and it's an obligation to yourself to pursue that best version of yourself in the physical external aspect. And let me move on to the next point as to why especially the Sigma male should be fit. I find questions like this a little bit self-explanatory. Why? Because you don't have to look far. Look at videos on YouTube. Sigma male, the rarest type of all male. Rarest type of all male. Take a look at the surroundings. Look at average people. Fitness, being jacked, being athletic, that is rare nowadays. Also, when you look at all the popular role models of Sigma males that people look up to, let's say Bruce Lee, or fictional ones like, who else? Batman, Wolverine, Rambo, the Witcher guy, Geralt of Rivia. They are not all super intelligent, they are not all empathetic, they are not all emotionally or socially intuitive, but what do they all have in common? They are ripped, they are jacked, they are at the very least, above average, highly above average in physical fitness. Now, another Sigma male example that just came to mind was Leonardo da Vinci. Now, of course, a lot of you would find it hard to picture Leonardo da Vinci as the type of guy with six-pack abs or pecs, a chest the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, biceps the size of your leg, but here's something I want to start with. Physical fitness, this best version of yourself. There is such a thing as an extreme. Now, because if you're too ripped, if you just want to be athletic for the sake of looking good, for the aesthetic appeal, so to speak, and it does not have anything to do with your purpose or performance-wise, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because the input is generally more, you're putting in more effort than the output shows, than your desired output. That's why I believe a lot of guys who get on this fitness journey kind of fail in the beginning, because they lack that compelling reason, the compelling why as to why they're doing it. If they're thinking like, oh, all this effort is just to look good, of course, it's not sustainable. But if you exercise, not only to look good, but for performance as the main primary reason, looking good will just come as a byproduct. Exercise will just come in as a way of sustaining your lifestyle. So let me get into the benefits of being physically fit as a Sigma male that I hope will encourage you to go on that journey as well. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is how it benefits your life, your work, your career. Now, I'm gonna mention girls as well, but I'm gonna kind of stick that to a later part in the video. I know you guys are waiting for that. But let me stick to what's most important. Getting the dough. Now, many of you guys don't like accepting this as a fact, but it's a fact that the world is competitive. It's a rat race, they always say. Dog eat dog world. And to go further, to get promoted, to earn more, you gotta outperform the competition. I mean, you can want to wake up early in the morning, but then if your body's then you're not gonna do the work in the first place. You're just gonna be staring at your computer just like that, lethargic. And before even talking about the job, the pre-job, or getting the job itself, the job interview, as I always say, first impressions count. Imagine if you walk into the room, your body is big, you make a big presence. They call it presence. You're present in the moment. The bigger you are, the more presence you have, because you take up more room. People look at you, they're like, wow, this guy definitely, based on your physical aspect, they will already start to come up with traits for you without you even having to speak a word. They're like, okay, if this guy's that jacked, first, he's disciplined for sure. He's got his life in order. He's got a vision. He's ambitious. You didn't have to even say a word. All you had to do is just enter the room. Just enter the room. It doesn't have to be fast. You can do it slow, but your presence. They recognize that you exist because of your frame, because of how you bring yourself. You didn't have to say a word, and that's why it's so perfect for Sigma male introverts. But of course, remember, first impressions are just first impressions. You have to speak as well in the job interview. You have to explain yourself, la 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 la. But let's say you got the job. So you got the job. Now, your physical fitness will help you work longer, work harder, work more focused on the tasks at hand. Now I can tell you a personal example of how my physical fitness got me from being a trainee to being a supervisor of a restaurant in 1 year. In 1 year, my friends. So for those of you who don't know, I work in the hospitality industry. I work in a hotel. Now when I started as a trainee, my goal was to be a supervisor because that was the most attainable goal at the time for my age, of course. The reasons why are twofold. The first of which is, as a Sigma male, I don't really like this idea of the hierarchy. I mean, it's not only specific to a Sigma male. Nobody likes to be bossed around. Nobody likes to do something that they don't like doing. Sigma male understands that a job is a job. That's why they pay you. It's not supposed to be glamorous. It's not supposed to be something that you like. Only a minority get to do what they like in life, get paid for it. But for majority, that's the reason why they pay you. They pay you in exchange for something. Do you think they like to give out money? No. Therefore, you have to give out something that you don't like as well, which is your time. Doing something probably that you don't like in most cases. So that's why I wanted to be the supervisor, because I'm not going to be working on the bottom rung of the ladder and get all the tasks and all the dirty work given to me. I would be the supervisor getting the responsibilities, but I can delegate the tasks onto other people and I don't have to do them myself. And the second, of course, is the pay. I wanted to be paid more and compensated more for the time that I put in because I knew my worth. Many guys out there, they think that like, oh yeah, I know my worth, but then if you do not demonstrate your worth and if the people in your company do not recognize your value that you think that you have, your worth is not the way that you see it. Your worth is actually the way that they see it. Because the role, the salary, this is not yours to grab and reach out. It is theirs to give out. So it's up to them, their view, their perspective as to who they think deserves the spot, who they think deserves this worth. So as I said, it's a fact of life that you may be worth more, but others will not recognize it. Therefore, demonstrate that value. Don't just live a fantasy in your head. So anyway, back to my example. The reason why I was able to get from trainee to supervisor in 1 year was mainly because during the summer period, when the hotel needed a lot of help because there was a lot of clients and all that, I would do breakfast. So I would wake up at 6 in the morning and start the breakfast period from 7 until 10:30, 11 on weekends. And then I would change, go to another restaurant, work the lunch service, very, very busy under the heat of the sun during the summer. Work that until 5, until 6 in the evening. So that was what, 12-hour shifts every day. And that's not all. Sometimes on the weekend they would ask for people who are willing to work in the dinner restaurants because it was really busy. The reservations were fully booked and I would volunteer. So on weekdays I would work 12-hour shifts, breakfast period busy, lunch period busy as well under the heat of the sun. And then on the weekends, I would work breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'd work from 6, I'd wake up at 6, work at 7, and then go all the way until 11 in the evening. So basically, weekends, I would work 16-hour shifts. And because my mind was not focused on, oh, it hurts, or, oh, when is this drudgery gonna end? It was able to free up more time, more space, more RAM for me to come up with better solutions to how we can sell more, better solutions to how we can upsell, better solutions to how we can arrange the team in order for the service to be more flawless, to be more efficient. In the restaurant where I served lunch, there was a management trainee. She was a female, but a clear alpha female, directive, outspoken, kind of annoying, got on my nerves several times, but I was there to work. So whatever she told me to do, okay, I would do it. But this is where I clearly saw the difference between a leader who is outside of the fray, outside of the battle and just blabbering out orders, and a leader who is with his soldiers in battle. Because I was with the employees who were serving on a daily. I was with them in the battlefield. And eventually what happened was, instead of following her lead, the guys started following my lead. And even if I didn't say anything, they were following my example. When I was happy, when I was upbeat, when I was moving to and fro, I would give them that kind of silent boost like, hey, I didn't even have to say hey. I would just kind of look at them and then go off and do my job. And that kind of like, let's say guilt, or like, oh, if he's doing it, how come I cannot do it? They would do it as well. So they followed my rhythm. So long story short, when it came time to choose a supervisor for the role, the most likely candidate to be chosen was her, because she was in that restaurant as a management trainee and I came from a separate place. But who did they choose? They chose me. So that's just one example of how being physically fit can help you in your career, in your work life. You can perform longer, you can perform harder, you can work smarter, because you're not focused on the drudgery, you're not focused on the pain, you're not focused on anything. You can focus purely on the work. All right, so finally, let's talk about the women, the female aspect, why it's important to be fit in relationships, sexual relationships and all that. Well, the good news is for introverts, if you're fit, it kind of takes away a lot of the effort that you're going to have to put in. Of course, you're still going to have to put in effort. You're going to have to talk to them, you're going to have to approach. But being fit kind of lowers their guard down, because if they like what they see, if you're appealing to them, they're going to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, I'm not proud of this because of the nature of how I met the girls, but my first 2 hookups in my own life was in a club. I hate clubs. I don't like clubs. In fact, the first 2 years of university, when my friends used to go out to clubs, I didn't like it. So anyway, yeah, as I said, I'm not proud of it, but the first 2 times I hooked up in my own life was in a club. And you guess how that happened? I didn't have to go up and say, hey, no. All I had to do was I saw a girl. Of course, I was kind of tipsy already. I kind of had the buzz of the alcohol. I went up to the girl that I liked and I just started dancing behind her, kind of like grinding. The thing is, what she did was she would feel me. She would look behind her, look me up and down, and then she turned around and then just continued dancing, but then kind of put herself against me. So we were grinding, yeah. Eventually after that, she said, hey, you want to go somewhere more quiet? I thought like, okay, we're going to go to the side or we're going to go outside to the garden. No, she took me all the way to her room and that's where we hooked up. The fact that she scanned me up and down before continuing to dance or before giving me the green signal, if I were not me, if I were fat or if I were not appealing in her eyes, she would definitely call me a creep or tell me to get, hey, like what the hell are you doing? Or her girlfriends would come and start defending her or whatever. I would not get in. And the emphasis here is, I didn't have to even say a word. The club was just bouncing and bouncing with music. If you try to talk, you're like, hey, how are you? I mean, even when she told me, hey, let's go somewhere more quiet. When we went to her room, believe me, we didn't even talk. It was just a bunch of animal noises. So, as you can imagine, an experience such as this was kind of mind-blowing. So, in the true Sigma spirit fashion of doing things, I tried to do it again with a different girl this time in a different club. Guess what? Same thing happened. So those were the first 2 times that I hooked up. Them again, I'm not proud of saying this. I don't usually include this in the exploits that I have on my female encounters, but now this also alludes to a question that I got from a brother who asked me, how does a Sigma male get attention without even trying? Now this may sound a bit funny when you look at it from face value, but the misconception here is that people think that we don't do anything. They get attention without doing anything. They're like, just like that. Thing is, we do not try to get attention at the moment of the event. It's like an athlete. An athlete wins the race, not during the race, but during those countless hours in the dark when nobody sees him, when he's exercising and training. So the Sigma does not put effort to try to get the attention. He puts effort where it counts. Sports, working out, exploring the world, career, work, those things, if he's good at them. And even with the body, you have more presence. So people, you don't have to say a word, you don't have to do anything, but people recognize, you get the attention. Because you're fit, you're able to do more with your life. Thereby you have more adventures to speak of. Because you cannot talk when you have nothing in your head. You cannot talk when you cannot relate to the person that you're speaking to. So when the person speaks about kayaking, or when the person talks about rock climbing, when the person talks about spearfishing, because you do those things, you're able to engage with them. And you look like an interesting person, thereby getting the attention of not only that person, but maybe of the person beside you, like, hey, you do spearfishing? Wow, that's cool, la 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 la. And then you will tell his friend, and then a girl will find out that you do those cool things. And that's just activities. Another one, because you're fit, as I said, like with me, I was able to get promoted at a very fast rate. So that also accompanies the attention that you give, that accompanies the respect, the admiration from other people. And just because of one thing, fitness. So for example, there were times when I used to go out with work colleagues, and not all my colleagues are fit. There are just some who are fit, but all the time I noticed that the ones who were fit, all they had to do was to just get into one club or one bar, spend a few bucks on whatever alcohol, and then they'd walk out with a girl. Simple. They didn't spend so much time, they didn't spend so much effort, they didn't spend so much money. But the other guys who are not as physically fit or not as physically attractive, of course, because they didn't put effort somewhere else, they would have to put the effort in now. So where the fit guys were already at home banging the chicks, the guys who are not as fit or not as physically attractive, they were jumping from club to club, paying the entrance fees, emptying their wallets, and paying for the booze to improve their confidence. But then there was an 80% chance when we talked to them the next day, like, how was your night? They're like, we were not lucky. That's the thing. It's not about luck. It may appear to be luck because of how easy it looks like to fit guys. They just enter and then they walk out. It's kind of like luck. And of course there's the luck with the alcohol and all that, and how drunk the girl is that you're trying to get with. But nevertheless, the luck comes with hard work, my friends. So that's women and the relationship part out of the picture. I'm gonna talk about very briefly, it's self-explanatory, about the next benefit, which is intimidation. Guys are less likely to pick on you, they're less likely to bully you if they know that you're a threat. If you prevent a fight, that's the best way of winning a war. When a guy wants to pick on you, but then he says like, shit, I can't pick on him. You already won the war. It's like The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The best victory is the war that was won without having to even battle, without even having to fight that war itself. Remember, there again, I want to emphasize that. If you're a Sigma male, wants to build on your fitness, do not build your fitness just for the appeal, not just for the aesthetics. Make sure that you build your frame based on performance, being optimal. You have to be able to run, escape fast, parkour. And 2, you gotta be able to fight, martial arts. So that's why it's vital to know at least one escape art and one fighting art in your pursuit to physical improvement. So let me end with this. Hopefully this finally convinces you to get on your physical journey. A Sigma male that is not fit is not a one-man army, because the word army itself denotes being physically strong, denotes being physically capable, denotes being able to combat hostility, combat challenges, go against the odds. So thereby, if you're a Sigma male but you're not fit, you're not a one-man army, you're just one man. That's why on this channel, I always say and always refer to you guys as KAIJUs, as the ideal. Because in my opinion, the KAIJU is a true Sigma spirit animal. And yes, it's fictional, but KAIJU comes from 2 words. Kai meaning strange, fantastic, and Ju meaning beast, strange beast or fantastic beast. Because many guys, maybe some of you watching this can relate to this, you're either just a Kai, you're just strange, you're just fantastic at what you do, or you're just the Jew, you're just the beast. Many guys just focus on being the poet, being the philosopher, being the intellectual, being the innovator, being the creator. But they don't focus on being the warrior. But there's such a thing as a warrior poet. There's such a thing as a soldier philosopher. There's such a thing as the balance of those two. It's like, for those of you who've played video games, you know that like with the skill tree, when you unlock certain skills, you get to explore a different view and a different perspective. You get to enjoy the game more. You get to do more in the game. Same thing in life. The more you are able to improve yourself, the more skills you learn, the more fit you are, the more intellectual and the more understanding you are of social situations, for example, the more you get to experience life. The more life you experience, the more stories you can tell, the more interesting you will be, the better of a man you can become.